Supreme Council visits Tinubu days after claiming to be suffering for supporting Muslim ticket. And House of Reps directs ministries to return 85 billion naira COVID-19 funds allocated under Buhari's government. Details now. Rights group Amnesty International has slammed the Abia State Police Command for arresting a suspect on live television program in Abia State. VOP News gathered that during a live broadcast of Youth Rendezvous, a program hosted on Abia Television Network by Grace Onyekachi on Wednesday, men of the Abia Command violently arrested the show's guest Udensi Donald. Condemning the conduct of the police officers that initiated the arrest in a post via its official X account, Amnesty International said that the incident clearly demonstrates total disregard of citizens' right to freedom of expression and media freedom. The Commissioner of Police for Abia State, Kenechukwu Umwewole, has already expressed regret for the unprofessional behavior of his officers when they broke into the ABN radio and television studio in Umuahia and took a guest of a live broadcast. The State Police Public Relations Officer, ASP Maureen Chinaka, expressed apologies for the Wednesday incident via a post made on Facebook today. Meanwhile, a former spokesperson for Atiku Abubakar, the People's Democratic Party candidate in the February 2023 presidential election, Daniel Bwala, has praised President Bola Tinubu for his leadership approach. Now, on his official social media page, Bwala commended Tinubu for valuing competence, loyalty, and dedication, emphasizing his ability to prioritize the country over personal sentiments. Bwala likened Tinubu's leadership style to that of the 16th president of the United States of America, Abraham Lincoln. Bwala, who recently held a meeting with President Tinubu, announced his support and willingness to collaborate with the All Progressives Congress government. His post read, and I quote, "He values competence, loyalty, and dedication. He looks beyond primordial sentiments. He recognizes the difference between politics and collaboration for the good of the country." End quote. Also, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is currently in a meeting with members of the Supreme Council of Nigeria at the State House in Abuja. The meeting comes just 2 days after the Supreme Council of Nigeria's President Sheikh Abdulrasheed Hadiatullah publicly expressed regret for supporting the APC same-faith ticket in the 2023 elections. Sheikh Hadiatullah on Tuesday sparked a fresh debate about the Muslim ticket or the All Progressives Congress in the 2023 elections. Now, via an interview with journalists in Abuja, he stated that the same-faith ticket, which played a pivotal role in President Tinubu's election victory, has not led to any positive changes in the lives of Nigerians. According to him, and I quote, "The Nigeria of today is too bad. What we are buying at 200 naira before is 2,000 naira now. We have scarcity of naira and unemployment is escalating. Nigerians are not enjoying the new government at all. I don't want to go personal, but the Sharia Council helped the Muslim ticket to be successful. We campaigned and supported this government until it came to power, but we are suffering." End quote. And still in the world news at 6, the House of Representatives Public Accounts Committee on Thursday ordered the Federal Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment to refund the total sum of 85 billion naira allocated to them as COVID-19 intervention funds. The resolution followed a motion introduced by Basi Akiba, a Labour Party member from Cross River State, in response to the absence of ministry officials from Thursday's investigation hearing. In a recent advertorial, PAC called 59 ministries, departments and agencies to appear before it for the start of an investigative inquiry into the alleged abuse of money intended to combat the worldwide health pandemic known as the coronavirus. The meeting between the lawmakers and the ministries was originally scheduled for Wednesday, January 17, but the House moved it to Thursday to express condolences to the government and people of Oyo State following Tuesday's explosion in the state capital, Ibadan. Akiba presented a motion at the commencement of the National Assembly session requesting that the ministry repay the cash allotted to it. The motion was accepted by the committee after it was seconded, and the ministry was told to repay the funds to the federal government's account. In his previous remarks, the chairman of the committee, Bamidele Salam, representing PDP Osun State, regretted that despite a succession of invitations made to the ministry, its personnel failed to turn up. Now, to talk about this and more on the world news at 6, I actually have joining me via the telephone a legal practitioner, a social affairs commentator, a political and social affairs commentator, and that is Barrister Eze Eluche. Barrister Eze Eluche, good evening and welcome to the world news at 6.
Thank you very much for having me in your studios virtually.
Thank you so much, Barrister Eze. It's quite an interesting one you've been here on the program, or rather on the news. Let me not call it a program. It's a 30-minute bulletin.
Mm-hmm.
Barrister Eze, so right. It's quite surprising what happened in Abia State. This story has been trending since yesterday. Now, why I find it surprising is the fact that you recall the former Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Shadia Umar Farouk. Well, apparently she was invited by the EFCC, right, to answer to questions on the 44 billion naira that supposedly went to a certain private account while she was, the minister at the time. And when she was invited, Sadia did not appear at the EFCC office throughout the day. The EFCC officials were in their offices waiting for Sadia Umar Farouk to appear. All for us to hear the following day by the EFCC that she was sick. Now, the EFCC served as a spokesperson to Sadia Umar Farouk, defending the reason why she was absent after telling the press the day before that they had waited in their office from 9 a.m. up until 6 p.m. and they had to go home. Now, this private individual, possibly because he has no clout, he has no political backing, he has no official office he's attending, the police came despite the fact that he was on a live broadcast. They did not care. It's obvious like they did not have any code of conduct and decided to embarrass this man on live television. Now, Barrister Eze, another thing you need to consider is the fact that the kind of individuals that perpetrate the security situation, the nefarious activity of abducting people, they've been wearing military fatigues. In some instances, they wear police uniforms. So you can't tell if indeed these individuals are actually law enforcement agents. So how come they could brazenly do that, but they couldn't do that to Sadia Umar Farouk?
Well, thank you very much. It was very good that incident happened in Abia State, because it will begin to expose to Nigerians the kind of policing that the Nigerian police force allows or practices in Imo State. What the Nigerian police do in Imo State is unethical, antithetical to policing anywhere in the world. The police force in the southeast operates like an occupation force. This is a part of the country where in a 3-kilometer stretch of road, you will see 4, 5, 6 police checkpoints. They are creating traffic hold-ups. They are collecting bribes on the road, and they are armed, which is actually armed robbery. They are collecting bribes on the road, and they are giving out change to motorists. So they don't even give a damn if the Inspector General of Police is in the vehicle behind the one they are collecting monies from. Okay. So in the southeast, you see the audacity, the impunity with which this police personnel operates. In the southeast, a policeman will tell a lawyer, I will shoot you and nothing will happen, right in a police station. So you begin to wonder, is this the same Nigerian police that IGP Egwuatu tries to portray as being reformed, or that the PPR of the police tries to show as if they are doing something well? Because in the southeast, in fact in Imo State, there's a particular notorious unit of the Nigerian police, which is notorious for disappearances, extrajudicial killings, and it is what is called the Tiger Base. At this Tiger Base, for instance, a magistrate who was an official visit to look at cells was informed that she has to leave without even doing her legitimate duty, and nothing happens. So in the southeast, what happened in Abia State is just is symptomatic of what transpires across the southeast. And the IGP Egwuatu cannot say he's not aware, because severally, I have personally written on this issue that what you have in the police in the southeast are brigands, criminals in uniform, who go about acting as if there is no law, as if there is no. I severally asked, is the police force order which allows the police force order 20, with which the police stations are supposed to infuse human rights principles in their policing, is it not operating in the southeast? Because what goes on in this part of the country is something totally different. And that is why when people react, it will be as if somebody is trying to make you over nothing. Okay. The people are being pushed to the war in the southeast, and it is deliberate, it is systematic. So what those rascal police personnel did in other police in the other TV station is, to them, it is routine.
Okay.
They have gone to marriages, they have gone into churches to make arrests. So the characters wearing the police uniform in the southeast are in majority a disgrace to policing. And the worst is that if the system does not change them, they keep on believing in that is how they should continue. So I hope that it shouldn't just be with the Commissioner of Police making some press release or the DPR of Abia State. The IGP should take it as a point of contact and realize that the men in uniform, particularly the police uniform in the southeast, are insulting the police profession.
All right.
Ordinarily, policing is a very respectable duty. They are there to serve the people. But when the elements wearing uniform in the southeast become extortionists, become people who on the road, on the highway, they commit armed robbery. Because what I call armed robbery is when a man is armed and is demanding money from you that you don't owe him lawfully, and you know that if you don't give him that money, he can shoot you.
All right.
That is robbery, and that is armed robbery.
All right,
so that is characters we have policing in the southeast.
Now
that's why I say what happened in the television station in Abia State is good, because it brings it to the international glare that what is going on in the southeast with regard to Nigerian police force is abysmal, it's worrisome. Because these same characters, if they can go into a television station with the audacity and impunity they did, guess what they will do if they meet somebody in private in his house? They will shoot and kill.
And nobody will say anything. All right.
That's what they are.
That's basically what
it's unfortunate.
It's unfortunate, actually, Barrister Eze. Now, let's look at the Supreme Council of Nigeria. That is, they're basically on Tuesday, they made a comment concerning President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Now, the Islamic Council are saying that they regret supporting President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in the 2023 presidential election, that the way things are at the moment is not what they expected, and that the promises, Bola Tinubu actually rendered to them is not effectively or actively implementing it. And one of the persons who made that statement was Sheikh Abdul Rashid Hadiyatullah, while he was expressly, stating his regret. Well, they went to visit the president, and they said, according to them, that things have become so hard that what used to be 200 naira is now 2,000 naira. But there's something he said. He said, in order for him not to go personal, that they were the ones that the Sharia Council helped the Muslim ticket to be successful. So does it mean that they want President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to possibly, give back what the support they tendered to him, the support they showed him? They want him to give them back. And how do they expect the president to do so? Are we expecting the president to be partisan in his responsibility? He should show some sort of favoritism towards some certain ethnic groups or religious group. Is that what we're asking for now with the current state of things, both security and economically?
Well, for any group which claims to have got the votes that made Mr. Bola Tinubu the president of Nigeria, that group knows it's talking absolute nonsense. The Sharia Council or whichever council did not, even the so-called Muslim ticket did not work, because Nigerians from all across the country, in Kano, in Sokoto, in Plateau, in Lagos, they knew who they voted for. So what the president of the Sharia Council is just talking about is absolute crap. He's trying to get some leverage which he does not deserve. And then, yes, he may use that noise and get in and try to see if he can squeeze out some job for his boys and all that stuff. But that is not really the issue. The issue is that Mr. Tinubu was not put in there by the votes or by the persuasion of the Muslim ticket or whatsoever. He's there. He knows the role the Supreme Court played in the judiciary played in bringing him an office. So I don't think they are meeting him will make him give them whatever unless he wants to give them. And he's been acting the way he wants. So such antics being displayed by the Sharia Council is regrettable, that the Muslim ticket. So what has that achieved so far? Even if the Muslim ticket has been a disaster in terms of economics, Nigeria has been sliding downwards in terms of social issues, in terms of security, in terms of everything. The president was just a few days ago, and he had the guts to tell Nigerians that we should not be bothered about the Japa syndrome, that Nigerians can keep on traveling abroad, Nigeria will keep on producing professionals for other countries to benefit from. So how can such a man, those who claim they brought Tinubu there, they should be ashamed of themselves, because we are stuck with him for now.
All right, Barrister. We have other issues to talk about. Let's go on to the former spokesperson for Atiku Abubakar, Daniel Bwala. Well, he has been reeling out a lot of commendations, appreciation to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And I want you to recall several other remarks he had made against this administration, against President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He said it will take Tinubu, even if you give Tinubu 30 years, he will not be able to get things right. He also talked about the fact that Tinubu did not indeed win these elections, that the votes were stolen from his principal Atiku Abubakar. He criticized the Supreme Court for not doing the needful in terms of having to accept the evidence that was brought in by his principal concerning the CSU certificate, or the forged certificate that was presented to INEC. So how come this same individual, after criticizing, possibly giving negative prophecies on this administration, is the same one turning around to say that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is like Abraham Lincoln? He has stated that the president is competent, he's loyal, he's dedicated, and that he looks beyond primordial sentiment, meaning that he recognizes the difference between politics and collaboration. So are we seeing a Daniel Bwala literally stating, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, look at me, you can give me an appointment, I'm ready to actually be part of your cabinet? Is that what we're saying? Is that basically what it is? So the politics no longer is about ideals or priorities or one's principles and belief. It is where belief is. Is that what it is now?
Oh, yes. I think you are giving this character too much credence. This Bwala fellow, who you rightly described as an anywhere belief politician. So now that he's trying to get closer to Tinubu, he will say whatever. He will say whatsoever. Now, comparing Tinubu with Abraham Lincoln is the height of idiocy. Was Abraham Lincoln, did he pay fine for drug trafficking? Was he involved in money laundering? Did he forge documents? So when you begin to compare Tinubu with Abraham Lincoln, I'm sure even if the Americans, if the family of Abraham Lincoln hears it, they won't sue the hell out of this Mr. Bwala fellow. But they may stop from suing him, because suing him will even give him the kind of publicity he wants. So some of these comments by these characters are not worth of discourse in public places.
All right.
It should be just consigned and thrown into the refuse bin where they and their comments belong to.
I see, Barrister Ezra, that you do not have the patience for anything that is not intellectually gravitating. All right, let's move on to President Bola Ahmed
Thank you very much.
Let's move on to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu slamming Peter Obi, telling him that he was defeated and that he should move on. Now, this is in reaction to the Labour Party presidential candidate in the 2023 presidential elections, warning President Bola Tinubu against making the same mistake his predecessor, Muhammadu Buhari, made. And this statement was made on Wednesday, where he stated that Buhari failed on security for 8 years, and it appeared that Tinubu is following the same path. He made this comment while he was, reacting to the recent killing and kidnappings in Abuja, and he said for Bola Ahmed Tinubu to get it right, he needs to be on the side of the people. Now, after that, spokespersons within the cabinet of the All Progressives Congress and representatives of the president have said that Peter Obi should go sit down. He lost. He's not the president. He doesn't occupy any political position, and so he has no moral standing or any right at all to possibly, say anything contrary to whatever it is that's going on. That the president has everything in check. So the question is, Peter Obi is already reacting or working on the things he said he would do in 2024, which is to be a strong opposition. You recall that he made a live broadcast after the new year saying that 2024 Labour Party will be a strong opposition. Now, would you say there was anything wrong in what Peter Obi said? Is there anything wrong in him reacting to any issue that possibly is of national interest?
Well, Tinubu is very much within his rights to reply on anything in national interest, just like any Nigerian citizen also has that right. But what I'm saying is that he also needs a team, because clients, there should be like a team, and one person will be replying to issues on health and issues on education and all that stuff, because there are so many infractions this regime is committing, because it's a regime rooted in infractions. With regards to the issue of security, for Mr. Tinubu to have had the temerity on 1st of January to say that the security situation is getting better, shows that either he's living in a different continent, he's not living with us in Nigeria. In Abuja, where he is, the people are being kidnapped right from their houses, no longer on the highway.
Of course.
And Ms. Bola Tinubu has the guts to come out and say security is getting better. Somebody should wake him up and say that Nigerians are not secured in their own houses. And it didn't even get this bad during the tenure of Muhammadu Buhari. And then I don't know why it's getting so bad under Tinubu. For Buhari, we knew that he had entered into bed with the terrorists themselves. But for Tinubu, one is at a loss as to why this man will allow terrorists to reign free over him. Is it this Islamic Council that is meeting him that is encouraging terrorism? Because these terrorists are basically extremist Islamist jihadist terrorists who are doing this kidnapping. And they always shy away from mentioning names. But everybody, those who've been kidnapped, particularly in the southeast, will tell you they were kidnapped by Fulani headsmen. So why don't you call a spade and tackle these rascal elements because of what they are? But Nigerians are always ready to bend the mark. So I also hope that Mr. Tinubu will get the issue right with security, and they should not focus on only the economic looting. Security is also part of governance, and Mr. Tinubu, since he grabs the president and the presidency and said it was his own turn, let his turn now be to tackle the insecurity problem we have in Nigeria, and not just to try to corner all the economic benefits to the southwest region.
All right, Barrister Eze, let's reel back onto insecurity. I recall yesterday on the news at 6, I was trying to have an interview with Barrister Fred Nzako, though the network did not allow us to completely facilitate that conversation, where Solomon Dalong stated categorically that there are cabals within the cabinet of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and that these cabals, most times, they do not occupy any supposed strong, what you call political office. They're not ministers, they're neither governors. Some of them are very, they're individuals you wouldn't easily pick up. All right, they are quite a little bit not oblivious. You cannot literally know who they are. He said in some instances there are PAs. They could be, in fact, they are foot soldiers to some of these PAs, and that they are the ones who coordinate some certain things. They spark a fire in motion and then let their foot soldiers carry on. That sometimes the president may be oblivious of this. The president may even have an idea on who these individuals are, but they're the ones controlling the semantics in government. So I recall when the president did a live broadcast where he talked about the fact that the elite of the elites are the ones benefiting from fuel subsidy, he refused to mention names. I recall too during Buhari's administration where we got a tip-off from Saudi Arabia onto the names of persons who do this bureau de change, who were supporting Boko Haram at the time. We thought that the government would work on that intelligence and fish out these individuals. We haven't heard anything. So are these cabals that important? Are they that potent that possibly the president may not be able to do anything about them?
Well, the reality is when you have rulers who are fixated with grabbing with economic benefit, they seem not to give, and they know that they are surrounded by themselves and their families. They have an armada of security men around them. They have to give a damn about the people. That is what we have, what is transpiring in Nigeria. We have a president who and his governors say their families are protected. They don't give a damn. And they don't take the entire nation as their constituency. If Mr. Tinubu did, when the lawyer in Abuja, for instance, whose 3 children have their 4 of them have been kidnapped, 1 has been killed.
Yes.
That is enough to call for the resignation of all those people who are collecting humongous salaries in Abuja as National Security Advisor, Chief of General of DSS, because these kidnappers are there in Abuja. So you know that we have people who are ready to take official titles, but they're not ready for the responsibility that goes along with those titles. And if we have a presidency who is detached a president who is detached, who doesn't even understand the realities going on, who thinks that despite the reality of insecurity, that Nigeria is more secure now than before, then we're in deeper trouble. Because if we even acknowledge that there was an insecurity crisis, then we say, okay, yes, we are on the way to recovery. But that Mr. Tinubu still believes, deludes himself into thinking that security is better. That should shock Nigerians and realize that we are approaching the precipice. What Nigerians should even be demanding for now is that since the security agencies have lost control of the security situation, Nigerians should be allowed to arm themselves. Nigerians should be allowed to have either a pistol or a double barrel. Because if you had a gun in your house, anybody who's coming to kidnap you would think twice about coming in. I can imagine the pain of the law. I imagine the pain of the lawyer in Abuja, whose children are being slaughtered one after the other. If the man had a gun or a pistol, I would rather, if I was him, I would rather go into the bush and see what I can do to rescue the remaining 3 girls. Than to just have a president who goes about gallivanting the chief of army staff, answering huge titles. When you see their convoys, the close roads, and they think they're securing themselves, when the whole country is in a mess. So the issue is, we have leaders or rulers who are detached from the people. And as long as they and their immediate family are secured, they feel the country is secured. And that is not what can sustain this country. And Nigerians should begin to effectively demand that we should all be armed so that we can confront and tackle this criminal element once and for all. Because we cannot leave Nigeria and run for them.
Senator Nedum Walker is already calling. Senator Nedum Walker is calling for that bill to be passed in the House, and that there will be criteria through which one can actually, have access to that, whereby people do not take advantage and, we begin to have a killing spree. Well, Barrister Egwuatu, we've actually run out of time, but thank you so much for your contribution.
Thank you very much for having me on board.
The World News at 6. I sincerely do appreciate it. All right, and on to stories outside the shores of Nigeria. The Prince of Wales has visited his wife, Catherine, in hospital as she recovers from surgery. The Princess of Wales is said to be doing well in her recovery. Catherine has spent her second night in hospital after successful planned abdominal surgery at the London Clinic Private Hospital. Meanwhile, Queen Camilla has said the king is fine after the monarch announced he was going to have a procedure for an enlarged prostate. On a visit in Aberdeen on Thursday morning, Queen Camilla was asked about the king and replied, "He's fine, thank you very much, looking forward to getting back to work." Kensington Palace revealed on Wednesday afternoon that the princess, 42 years, had undergone abdominal surgery. Her husband, Prince William, was seen driving away from the back entrance of the hospital in central London, where she's been treated. The specific details of Catherine's procedures remained private, but it is understood not to be cancer-related, and it was planned rather than a medical emergency. But it was clearly serious enough to require a couple of weeks in hospital and then several months of recuperation, which will see the Princess of Wales missing official duties at least until after Easter. To wrap up the world news at 6, here again are the top stories. You heard Amnesty International slams Nigeria police for arresting suspect on a live television program in Abia. Also, articles from a spokesperson, Bola, commends Tinubu for embracing Abraham Lincoln's leadership style. Sharia Supreme Council visits Tinubu days after claiming to be suffering for supporting Muslim ticket. And on the foreign scene, you heard Princess of Wales visits Kate, in hospital after surgery. That's a wrap on the world news at 6. My name is Esther Wachuku. Good evening, and thank you for staying with us. Up next is the Evening Rush with Precious. A new dawn, a new story from the station that keeps you informed. Breaking news, fresh from the scene.
We have a lot all over the country who have been shouting and saying no, because we know that that's a very faulty direction that the present government is trying to do.
We tell it as it unfolds. keeping you strapped to the edge of your seat as we dissect and discuss the issues that affect you.
Wike just wants to use this ceasefire to buy time. That's what he wants to do.
And the agreement to me was a disgrace to democracy.
Tune in to the world news every day at 12 and 6 p.m. Timely news just for you on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. For the perfect getaway?
Look no further than the luxurious accommodations at Airport Golden Tulip Hotel, Lagos, number 42, Muritala Muhammad International Airport Road, Lagos.
Relax and unwind in a beautifully appointed rooms featuring all the amenities you need for a comfortable stay.
Whether you're traveling for business or pleasure, our attentive staff is here to ensure that your everyday need is met. We also offer complimentary pick-up and drop-off from the Lagos airport.
Take advantage of our state-of-the-art fitness center, outdoor pool, and enjoy a delicious meal at our on-site restaurant.
With stunning views, world-class service, and a prime location, Airport Golden Tulip Hotel, Lagos is the perfect choice for your next vacation or business trip.
So, why wait? Book your stay today and experience ultimate in comfort and